Update. My daughter chose her stepdad to walk her down the aisle. Original post. I, 46 male, have one daughter, 26 female, whose mom ran off when she was 7 and came back when she was 15, claiming she wanted a relationship. She gave it a chance and apparently got really close to her new stepdad. Apparently, he's a really cool guy and likes similar things to her, like hockey, and also plays guitar, like my daughter. I initially thought that it was great she was bonding with her stepdad and her mom. Now she's getting married to her fiancé, 30 male, who she has been dating for 4 years. I pitched in for the wedding, as did her mom, upwards of $25,000. The day fast approaching, and she told me she has chosen her stepdad to walk her down the aisle, as they have really bonded over the past 11 years. I didn't say anything at the time, but I have already decided that I will not be going, as I won't be disrespected like this. If she wants to be a happy family with her mom who abandoned her for 8 years, go for it, but count me out. It wasn't either of them who went to all her hockey games. It wasn't them who paid for her tutoring for exams. It wasn't them who went through the financial hardship of working 3 jobs until she was 17 to support both of us. And it wasn't them who was here when she got her milestones. It was me. I won't be telling her I'm not coming. I just won't show. Now for the comments before reading the update. Why can't both dads walk her down the aisle? Who says things have to be traditional? I ain't walking with that man. I've literally never spoken to him. And she said she wants him. Never did say she wants both of us. I can only assume it's because stepdad got to be the fun dad. He didn't have any real responsibility. She'll figure it out when she really needs help, and mom and stepdad have that confused look on their faces. At 26, she should be old enough to not just be picking the fun dad. Agree, that's middle school garbage. Honor your father, especially because he's not the one who ran out. Why not tell her how it makes you feel? Why not ask why you're not the one she thinks of when thinking of a father? You can still do what you want, but at least have the talk. You know, this is absolutely what I wanted to verbalize and couldn't find the words for. OP, only when we stop participating in the conversation do we truly lose our loved ones. You shouldn't have to beg, you shouldn't have to bring this up. But I tend to see stupidity where others see malice. Ask your daughter point blank, why do you not see me as a father? And I'd bet money she get the surprised Pikachu face, because this literally never occurred to her. The question can open a lot of dialogue about your relationship, the work you put in, and what it took for her to be where she is. Also, given how blasé it sounds like she told you, it might be something her mother suggested, and she's just going along with it, not realizing the magnitude of the insult. You can absolutely from there say, I'm sorry that I wasn't a father figure you wanted. I did my best, but if this is what you want, then it is your day. I hope you have a good life. When you don't show up for the wedding or even respond to her calls and texts, she will know how badly she messed up. But if you don't talk to her, you will be cutting off your nose to spite your face. I have seen something similar to this play out twice, and at this point, I think the pain is just too much to bring up. First, a son, raised by a single mother for his entire 18 years and struggled. She was mildly crazy, but damn if she didn't do her best. Dad comes back in, is the fun dad, and son changes his last name next year from moms to dads. Second, a daughter raised by her grandmother also for all 18 years, but mom comes back into the picture after 18 years of on-and-off heroin use, and suddenly grandma's off her rocker, and she prefers to hang out with mom. Neither parent brought it up, and I just don't think either of them could bring themselves to do it. I'd send her this post. It tells her how you feel and how I'm sure a lot of people agree with your sentiment, especially since you helped $25K for the wedding. She isn't 11 choosing a weekend with him over you. She is an adult, and this is a hopefully one-time event. She is saying he is more important to her. It's insanely disrespectful, especially since you're essentially a single parent for so long. You need to let her know this isn't a small deal. I wouldn't send this post. It was written from a place of frustration and deep hurt. Looks like he needed to blow off steam here anonymously. But for the love of God, a civil conversation about emotional issues with your children goes a long way. Now for the update. So I took your guys' advice and I spoke with my daughter and decided that even if she didn't change her mind, I wouldn't miss her wedding or cut her off. I spoke to her and let her know that what she's choosing to do hurt me, and that if she still wants her stepdad to walk her down the aisle, that is her choice. I won't be there, but will still be supporting her. She said she still wants me there, but that her mom has apparently said she wants stepdad to walk her down the aisle as a way of accepting him to the family. She said that if she refuses, she won't be coming, and neither will stepdad, and they will never speak to her again. I ask if she is really someone she wants in her life, setting demands to maintain her relationship. And you'll never guess who I got a furious call from. Her mother. She was saying I manipulated my daughter into saying she never wanted to see them again, and uninvited them. I will be in 3 months' time walking my daughter down the aisle. Happy for you, but don't trust that your ex won't try to interfere and manipulate your daughter. Also, your daughter needs to be on the lookout for the manipulations to continue and not fall for it again. I'm going to back this up, because by what her mom has done, she shouldn't be trying to tell her daughter what she should be doing for her wedding. We don't really know if she will try again or not, but it's always good to be safe. Thirding this, the mommy here sounds very manipulative and selfish, and people like that tend to keep going or escalate, both in my direct experience and based on what I've learned in therapy. I'm glad OP and his daughter are able to communicate well and seem to have a really solid bond. Stay on your toes. A lot can happen in 3 months, but if stepdad was any kind of man, he would have refused the offer in the first place. I'd agree, but we don't know what the mom may have told stepdad about the ex. If she's willing to go no contact with her daughter over this, there's no saying what she tells everyone about the ex. So maybe stepdad thought he was doing the right thing. Who knows? I just hope OP and everyone else there remembers this is the daughter and her spouse's day, and to make decisions in her best interest as much as possible. She's probably stressed to the gills over the mom already. I know I would be. Anyone who wants to live with that kind of woman is either evil himself or very submissive. I bet on second. Am I the a-hole for running away from home? Original post. I, 15 female, will be a junior in high school once the new school year starts. I have a little brother I'll call Matt, 3 male. My parents both work full-time jobs in the business district. I was a planned baby, but Matt wasn't. My parents considered putting him up for adoption, but couldn't do it. They don't know I know this. Once my mom ended her maternity leave 2 weeks early, there was a schedule who would watch Matt when. Mom leaves for work at 4:30 a.m., waking me up on the way. I watch Matt until I need to go to school at 7, and by that time my dad is up and takes over. I get home from school at 3:45 p.m., and my dad leaves for his work at no later than 4 p.m. I watch him till my mom gets home at 6 p.m. For the first year, that's how it went, and I was fine with that. Now, my mom has shifted her hours to work later, so I watch Matt till he sleeps, and I can't sleep till my mom gets home, which is usually 10 to 11 at night. On top of that, I do anything that needs doing at home. I'm in AP classes and have my homework to do as well. Matt's not very well behaved, as he's had health issues since birth that caused him discomfort. He's a toddler, and I get that, but his tantrums and general demeanor make it hard for me to get things done. The 2 things that tore me down most happened a week before school ended back in May. I managed to talk to my mom and ask her if we could please hire a sitter to look after Matt. I want to take on some extracurriculars. Her response was they didn't need to waste money on that because they had me. 2 days later, my mom got home at 5 p.m., which early for her, and after eating dinner, told me to ask the school if I could shorten my class load next year in order to spend more time at home, since my dad also apparently wants to shift his hours. I told her no, and she got mad saying I needed to be more understanding and accepting. I had enough and blew up. I can't remember what all was said, but I do remember yelling that I wasn't my little brother's parent. Stormed to my room, stuffed some things in my backpack, and left while my mom was distracted by my brother. I'm safe. I called my grandmother and explained what was going on. She and my mother are estranged, but we managed to stay close. Once she picked me up and got the details, she said she understood. My parents blew up my phone, demanding I come home and telling me I should be ashamed of acting this way. My grandmother blocked their numbers. She did talk to them, and they agreed I can stay where I'm at until I get my head on straight. I feel guilty for leaving my brother, but at the same time, I feel so worn out. Other family weighed in, and while most are on my side, others say I need to accept my duties to the family and suck it up. I'm conflicted and don't know what to do. Am I the a-hole for running away? Not the a-hole. You're with a relative. I wouldn't count that as an actual runaway. They all know where you are and you're safe. I completely agree with you. You are not your brother's keeper. They are wanting you to risk your education for a child that isn't yours. Can you stay with your grandma during school? I talked to my grandmother about that, and she would be willing to take me in, but I'm not sure how my mom and dad would respond. Does your grandmother live within the same school district as your parents? Or would you have to switch schools in order to live with her? As long as she lives in the same district and you don't have to switch schools, there shouldn't be an issue with updating the school about your living situation, meaning emergency contacts. Your school guidance counselor may even be able to help with any paperwork that's needed by the main office of your school. Not the a-hole. You're still a kid. You shouldn't be dealing with so much responsibility. You didn't sign up to be their unpaid babysitter. You're literally losing your childhood because your parents think you have to be responsible for your brother when they should be the ones taking care of him. Or hiring a nanny or a babysitter if they can't always be there for your brother. Not the a-hole. It is absolutely inappropriate for your parents to do this. I hate it when people pull a Duggar and make their older children raise the younger ones. I think it was very smart of you to go to your grandma, and you might want to live there through school. The nerve of your parents asking if you could shorten your course load and saying you need to be more understanding and accepting. Unbelievable. Now for the first update. Thank you to everyone who left comments. I feel more confident in my decision now. A couple of people said I needed to talk to my parents about a sitter or boundaries. I've tried before the last time, and they either brushed me off or said things like, "That costs so much money," and "But you do such a good job," and "You're the big sister. It's your duty to watch him." I looked up parentification since I'd never heard it before, and all the boxes were ticked. I had no idea. My grandmother is talking to an attorney and wants to set up an arrangement that will let me stay with her my last 2 years of high school. After I graduate, I plan to go to college in another state. Thank you again for your kind words. If something major happens, I'll let you all know. Best wishes to you and your brother. He's the most innocent of all in this mess. And I'm glad your grandma is there to look after you. If your parents try to cause problems, call CPS on them. Parentification is abuse and it's their child, not yours. I am sorry for your brother, but best of luck to you. You're doing the best to protect yourself. Second update. It's been a few weeks, but quite a bit has happened. I'll try my best to keep this concise. Once again, thank you for all your comments and support. That meant a lot to myself and my grandmother, who says hello. Firstly, my father managed to find my post despite my efforts. I told my mother about it, and they proceeded to blast me to the members of my extended family via social media, saying I made them look bad. She deleted the post a few hours later, according to my cousins who support me. A few days later, during a meeting between my parents and myself, my grandmother and our lawyer, my father, apologized to me, and I felt it was sincere. As for my mother, she was silently fuming. Matt was at their house with one of my aunts. They agreed, with great reluctance on my mother's end, to give my grandmother full custody of me of my remaining 3 years as a minor. The next day, my grandmother and some of my supportive family members helped me get what I had for belongings out of my parents' house. I didn't feel true relief until that moment. Now, I'm trying to enjoy my summer. I'm hanging out with friends, going swimming. I'm relaxing. I'm finally reading books I bought 3 years ago that I never got a chance to read. I'm planning extracurriculars for next semester and even planning a birthday party, my first in 3 years, for my sweet 16 in February. I'm also helping my grandmother around the house. I do chores, but this time I'm getting an allowance. Even my sleep has improved. It's a whole new way of living, and it's kind of overwhelming, but I've never been happier. Hopefully this is the last time I post. I'm going to log off Reddit and go out with my grandmother for some shopping. Thank you all. Enjoy being free, my friend. We need more grannies like yours. Good luck in life. Hopping onto the top comment to say that I love this so much. This is the childhood/adolescence you deserve. I'm so grateful for your grandmother for being in this world and doing right by you. Glad things worked out for you. One question, did you get your documents such as birth certificate and social security card? You will need those, and I don't really trust your mother. Grandma can order placements for OP, assuming they get all the paperwork for legal custody, rather than just some kind of informal arrangement. OP mentions a lawyer. Guarantee it's all legal since there's one involved. If he's worth his chickens, He'll also make sure all the needed documents, birth certificate, social security card, etc. are all handed over too. It's nice if they hand them over, but getting new ones for a minor you have custody shouldn't be hard at all unless they were born off the grid in a cult or something. Guardians have to be able to do things like enroll kids in school, get medical treatment, help them get licensed to drive, etc. I'd be more concerned about the parents misusing them. Yes, replacements can be acquired, but most identity theft happens from family members. If things are so tight that parents are overusing the OP, I'd personally be concerned about identity theft for financial issues and probably some spite. Most family members get away with identity theft because people are reluctant to turn them in for it. There's not all that much stopping your parents from ordering a dozen certified copies of your birth certificate and handing them out in Times Square if they were so inclined. Most localities don't restrict parents from getting them regardless of the state of the relationship. All most people can realistically do is monitor their credit and dispute it if anything happens. There's a way to get your social security number changed if you end up being a repeat victim, but I've heard it's a really high bar. Update. Am I the a-hole for threatening to take legal action against my ex-wife's stepdaughter if she doesn't pay for the gift she broke? Original post. I, male 38, have been separated from my ex-wife for almost 14 years. She's married now and has 2 stepdaughters, and this one involved the older one, Anna, 17 I think. Our older daughter, Diane, female 16, is really into calligraphy. My parents gave her a Japanese calligraphy brush as a gift for having a great school year. We came back from a trip and left them with her mother. I was just getting home when my youngest called me to return. Once there, they were having an argument and my ex-wife and her wife were trying to mediate. Diane said that Anna stole her brush and broke it. Anna says she took it with permission from Diane, which is a lie, and we checked, and she accepted breaking it, but replaced it with another one, a cheap one. My ex-wife and her wife claimed that it was not a big deal and Anna replaced it. I disagree, and told them that either Anna or them have to order a new one or give them money for us to do it. They were willing to do it, until Diane told them how much it would cost, $3,000. That's when they flipped the lid and said why I'm buying something that expensive. I told them it's none of their business or the point. Besides, it was a gift from my parents, not mine. They refused and said they can't do it without taking a hit in their finances. I told them that I don't care, and they need to pay for it or I would take legal action against Anna since she admitted to taking it and breaking it. I told them to be quick because the brushes are limited. Our daughters decided to come with me and took their important things with them. Now my ex-wife, her parents and her wife are blasting my phone saying I would ruin Anna's future, and that I'm putting our daughters against them and ruining their relationship. We've been co-parenting really well, but I don't know. I think I'm being reasonable. She's not a kid anymore. Now for the top comments before reading the update. They wouldn't be shocked if it was a high-end tablet, would they? Just because they don't value the value of the item doesn't mean it doesn't have a value. Good luck getting the value back. Not stay whole. She didn't lend her the brush. Anna said that but isn't true. It's funny how she lies about asking/borrowing it, as if that will undo all the mess she got herself into. The pen could be worth $1. It could be worth $1 million. She's gonna have to suck it up and pay for her mistake regardless. If I steal a car off the Enterprise lot and total it, I'm liable for the damages, not to mention the consequences of any crimes I committed in obtaining the car. If I legally rent the car and total it, and guess what? I'm still liable for the damages. Not stay home. Anna is 17, not 7, almost an adult. She's old enough to know that she doesn't take something that doesn't belong to her. By the way, I believe a limited edition brush can cost $3,000. Like we see Balenciaga charging $1,800 for a trash bag, lol. Doesn't matter what the cost is. Legally, a person is responsible for replacement cost. If it costs $18,000 to replace a trash bag, and people have a problem with that, then they shouldn't mess with $18,000 trash bags. Kinda simple. And now for the update. I never thought this would get so much attention. I'm still going through the comments, but I'm going to clarify a few points and give you an update. Why Diane brought the brush to her mother's. She has a neighbor friend whose hobby is painting. Diane's friend has a nice brush collection, and she took it to show it to her. Why did she leave the brush at her mother's? She stays a week with her mother. She has left other valuable things, either sentimental or monetary, and nothing has happened. Until now. Why I allowed her to move it around? It has to do with how my parents raised me. You are the one in charge of your stuff, no one else. You're the one who puts the value in them. That's why I have always let my daughters do as they want with their things, the same way my parents taught my siblings and I. She understands this kind of brush is not something to just play with. She agrees that she was careless as she wasn't planning to use it, but to start her own collection, the same way her friend and I do. I can't blame her though. She was comfortable with them and there was no precedent. The relationship with her stepfamily. They're not close but they're civil. They never clicked, but they agreed to respect each other and their things. How we find out Anna lied? Simple. When she said she got permission via text, I asked her to show us and my ex and her mother asked for her phone. She could have lied but folded. She said she took it and broke it but didn't say why. The price. My ex knew the price but not her wife. Both knew it was a gift from my parents. My ex-wife decided to play dumb because she didn't tell her wife about the price. For the doubters, I understand because not many are interested in handwriting or calligraphy. Brushes and pens can cost hundreds or even thousands because they are made with limited or rare materials by a craftsman with decades of experience. It is an art itself. You can Google it if you can/want. The brush. I need to talk to my parents if they still have the receipt so I can contact the manufacturers and see what can be done. My hopes are slim to none. To say the brush is broken is to put it mildly. It has basically to be remade. Now for what transpired yesterday. We returned home and we talked after they calmed down. I asked them if I was missing something or if something changed, etc. They said everything was pretty much the same, but Diane and Lily said they might know the reason why Anna did it. During the week they stayed with her mother. Anna said to all of them that her boyfriend's birthday was coming up, and she wanted to gift him something special. She asked my youngest, let's call her Lily, if she could play the guitar while she sang a song to him and Lily refused. Lily says that Anna took it well and didn't make a big deal. Then 2 days before I picked them up, Anna asked Diane if she could make a big poster, and Diane refused. But unlike Lily, she offered her to do something small. Diane says that Anna declined her offer and didn't make a big deal. Why they refused? The boyfriend's birthday was when they were going to be on a trip with me, last week, and both told Anna about it. I asked them if they knew about the finances of her mother. They said she's still working, and also her wife, so definitely not struggling. That's why both of them are mad at her mother because she or her wife could have paid for the brush. They don't understand why she acted like that. Knowing this, I asked her what she wanted to do. She listened to my threat and I told her I mean it. I was going to buy the brush and force them to pay me back. She asked me to wait and see what they do in the next days. Now for what happened today. I received 2 calls early in the morning, one from ex-wife and the other from Anna's father asking to meet. The father came first. He said his youngest daughter called him and told him what happened. Him and I talked for a little bit, and by the looks of it, there are bigger issues. The man apologized to Diane for Anna's behavior and paid for the brush. The rest came after. Anna apologized first and said why she did it. She took the brush instead of another out of revenge. She tried to use it to do the poster for her boyfriend, and because she's not as good as her, she destroyed it in a fit of rage. Once calm, she saw her mistake and looked for another one online. She saw how much it cost and decided to buy a cheap one. She never told anyone what she did until Diane returned. Anna's mother apologized to Diane and also to Lily. They both left after that. My wife remained. She apologized to Diane and Lily and said she acted the way she did because this could kill the little to none relationship they have as sisters. But the result was worse and she regrets it. Diane and Lily told her that everything could be fine if they paid for the brush and apologized right then and there. She could have ended with 1 upset daughter. She has now 3. They said that now they don't feel secure there and have no plans to return. My ex-wife said she was going to do anything to solve it and proposed family therapy again, but both of them refused. They said that they could meet somewhere else, but at least not for now. They left us alone. We talked mostly about logistics and a few things I wanted to confirm. Lastly, I talked with my daughters again and both still are pretty upset. The relationship with her mother took a major hit and they're not happy with how it was resolved, but neither do I. We're going to see my parents in the upcoming days. Diane wants to talk with them about the money before buying another brush. Thank you for taking your time. I tried to cover as much as I could, but I will try to answer if you have questions. She could have ended with 1 upset daughter and now she has 3. Harsh, but true. Taking others' stuff and breaking it and buying a cheap one to replace it. Wow, parents tries to correct mistakes. But Opie's ex-wife was a terrible mother. You are not entitled to others' stuffs. To be fairly fair, if my son made a $3,000 oopsie, I'd be looking for financial compromise myself. Even to someone well off, that's a freaking huge chunk of money. That's my entire savings. She said she acted the way she did because this could end the little to non-relationship they have as sisters. Yes, because the one thing everyone knows about siblings/step-siblings is that showing obvious favoritism to one of them by not punishing them for breaking another one's extremely expensive possessions is guaranteed to make everyone get along better. Ex-wife can't even give an honest apology. She acted the way she did because she chose her wife and stepdaughter over her own daughter. It had nothing to do with preserving their sisterly bond. It was all about preserving her own bond with the new wife. Yep, I'm thinking this is not the first incident. The way it feels is that this was the straw that broke the camel's back for the two daughters. I don't care if it's a $20 brush. You don't mess with someone else's brushes. I'm not into calligraphy. I'm not even a real painter. I paint Warhammer miniatures, which is basically 3D coloring. But I don't really let anyone else use my brushes, and I wouldn't feel comfortable using anyone else's. The ex-wife definitely messed up, but a 17-year-old should know better. It is so easy to ruin a brush even without having a fit of rage. Whether it's getting paint in the ferrule or just improperly cleaning. The higher the quality of the brush, the more you have to take care of it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my brother an inconsiderate, insecure, pompous prick? My brother and I are not very close. I can tolerate him if need be, but I think he struggles in many social situations. He can't seem to read basic social cues and makes many inappropriate comments and jokes. He has strong opinions about everything, jumps to unreasonable conclusions, and never lets things go. My wife and his wife have been friends for years. My wife doesn't like my brother much, but she's very polite and courteous towards him for the sake of my sister-in-law. My wife and I lost our 3-year-old son about a year ago. His death was sudden, and there is not a day that goes by where I don't grieve him. There will never come a day, hour, minute, or second that I'll stop loving or thinking about my son. In my family, talking about a dead child makes people uncomfortable and is almost treated as taboo. I'm not too fond of this culture, and I have been candid about going to therapy, counseling sessions, support groups, etc. My wife and I started going to marriage therapy after the loss of our son. My family believes that we are going to couples counseling because our marriage is failing or my wife isn't satisfying me enough. This could not be further from the truth, and I think it's a bit disgusting and ridiculous. My sister-in-law invited my wife and I for a nice dinner at their place to celebrate my wife's birthday. Most of my family would be there, and she promised us no drama and or unnecessary comments. We got there and it was nice at first. Everyone was being respectful and I was having fun. Near the end, a few people gave my wife small gifts. We were planning to open them at home and react privately, but my brother was very adamant about seeing my wife's reaction to his gift. He was so sure that he had the best gift and wanted my wife to open his gift in front of everyone. Nothing could have prepared me for his present. He gave her a baby's romper meant for a newborn boy and an expensive set of lingerie. I was so shocked. When she looked at him, he laughed and said it was to motivate her to bring a spark back into the marriage. Everyone was speechless, until my wife politely thanked everyone for coming and then left, leaving my brother's gift. I told my brother that the gift was wrong and incredibly inappropriate. He started to get defensive and very aggressive, so in anger, I called him an inconsiderate, insecure, pompous prick. My sister-in-law, as well as few other family members, told me that even if the gift was in bad taste, I shouldn't have called him names and provoked him. I may be the a-hole for the unnecessary name-calling. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The names you called your brother were the perfect description of his personality. Cut off any personal contact with him until he apologizes to your wife. I am truly sorry for your loss. For my own peace of mind, I won't be speaking to him for a long time. I think that is the best choice. And don't be afraid to do the same to other family members who enable his horrible behavior. You and your wife have my sympathy. What you're going through is beyond awful, and I hope the future brings some peace and comfort for you both. What you said to your brother was absolutely correct. Strange that he can do as he wishes, and that's fine. But you're reacting as provoking him? Did he not provoke you and your wife with the cruel, tasteless jokes of his gifts? Either one alone would be foul and wildly inappropriate, but together, the two gifts are beyond pale. I might be choosy about spending time with him at all in the future, especially if your wife is there if I were you. Not the a-hole, but your brother and anyone who defends his disgusting behavior definitely are. One note, It sounds from the way that you describe him that your brother could be neurodivergent. That's no freaking excuse. Plenty of people struggle with social cues, but they still have the sense to learn from experience how to not hurt people. What he did was hurtful, not funny or clever or cool. Agree that is probably on a spectrum, but that was just cruel. Not a-hole. You were incredibly tame in your response. I would have read him to filth, drag queen style. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for buying my granddaughter more expensive gifts than my grandson? I have many grandchildren, but this is about the oldest ones. Jake 18 and Maya 18. They're cousins, not siblings. 18th birthdays are very important in our family. So for Jake's 18th birthday, I told him I will buy him whatever he wants. As long as it's reasonable, of course. He told me he needs a new phone, so I bought one for him which costed me around $1,000. I encouraged him to choose other gifts as well, but he said it's enough. For Maya's 18th birthday, I did the same thing and told her to choose whatever she wants. She gave me a list of the things that she wanted and it costed me about $7,000. I was a bit unsure whether I should buy them or not, but decided that it would be unfair if I don't buy it because Jake had the same offer and he chose not to get anything else. Jake's father, my son, was very angry at Maya's birthday. He said I'm showing favoritism. I tried to explain to him that I'm not because Jake had the same offer. His argument was that I raised Maya. Her parents worked a lot and I was basically her babysitter, while I didn't have as much contact with Jake. His mom was a stay-at-home mom. So naturally, Maya would be closer to me and it would be easier for her to ask me for things. You're the a-hole. While you gave them a choice, which is nice, you should have decided that each one of them would get an equal value of gifts. If you spent $1,000 on one, that should have been a cap for the other. No one told you had to buy all the gifts on Maya's list. You made that choice. Or do what my grandma does and give the cash value to even it out. Sure. I mean, whatever they would want to do is up to them. Ultimately, it should be equal. You're the a-hole for not capping the offer. I mean, really? Who asks for $7,000 worth of birthday items and actually gets them? When I tell my two kids to pick stuff, one will be polite and the other will shoot for the moon. If the ambitious one gets everything she asks for, the polite one will get upset because she didn't realize asking for so much was even an option. It's not the polite one's fault, and she's not wrong for being upset. As a parent, I either have to set a limit and treat them equally, or let the ambitious one pick first so the polite one realizes the upper limit is higher than she thought. I would never want the polite kid to feel shortchanged because she didn't realize she could ask for more. Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to go to my daughter's graduation ceremony? Original post. I, 40s female, have a daughter 18 female who I'll call Bev. When she was younger, her father, broke up before she was born, was very involved in her life, and she was admittedly a dad's girl. But this all changed when she turned 8 and he got married. He barely called and just abandoned her for his new family. This was obviously hard on her and she rebelled a lot, but she went to therapy and seemed good. Bev has not seen him since she was 12 and he speaks to her maybe 3 times a year maximum. When he calls, she believes he is now back in her life for good, then he ghosts her for the remainder of the year. This being said, Bev and I have a great relationship. We do everything together. She even refers to me as her best friend, so I'd say we have a good relationship. Recently was her graduation and I was excited. But then she came to me a week before and told me she is going to invite her dad and a son. And because her dad doesn't want to see me, I can't come. Bev told me that was the only way he was gonna go. I angrily told her I felt betrayed and won't forgive her for this. She just told me I have been there for many of her milestones and she wants her father to experience them too. Things got heated and we argued. The night before her graduation, I pleaded with her, but she ignored me when I spoke. It only said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not changing my mind." I left and cried, until my sister offered to take me out during the graduation to take my mind of it and I agreed. I woke up the next morning to my daughter bawling her eyes out. I looked at the time and realized the ceremony starts in 5 minutes. I asked Bev why she hasn't left yet. Bev then tells me her father ditched her and isn't answering anymore. I hug her and tell her to make the most of her graduation. She looked shocked and asks if I'm not going to the ceremony now that her father isn't anymore, and how it'll be embarrassing to be the only one there without parents. I told her I'm sorry, that I already had plans. She then screamed and called me a bad mom. I apologized once again and got ready to meet my sister. I chose not to go because I felt betrayed and wanted to teach her actions of consequences, even if it broke me that I didn't go. Since Bev returned, She hasn't spoken a word to me, and she looks depressed and like she's been crying for ages. I'm starting to regret not going. My sister says I did the right thing, but one of the moms at my daughter's school said she was depressed at graduation. And now I feel bad that I ruined what was supposed to be a day to remember because I wanted to teach my daughter a lesson. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You gave her an important lesson about maintaining relationships with the people who are there for you and not blowing them off for the next new thing that comes along. I fully agree. Daughter treated her horrendously. Daughter might now go no contact, but she would be an a-hole to do so given how she's treated her mother. Adopi, stop apologizing. You didn't do anything wrong. The more you apologize, the more your daughter believes that she was right in her actions. At best, you can say, look, I understand you're hurt and I'm sorry you're upset, but this is a consequence of your actions. You, as a parent, could have handled this better. You could have just went to support her, despite how she hurt you by pulling that crap with her dad. And this is by no means agreeing with what she did. I firmly believe she was an a-hole for that, nor diminishing your hurt feelings. That being said, graduating from high school is a pretty big deal. If I was in the same situation and this happened to my kid, I would have been there for her. Because if you love your child, you stand up for them, despite their misguided and ill-advised intentions to capture the love of an absent parent. Had you done that, it would have the desired effect of her seeing that her dad really ain't shit to where he can even pull it together to be there for his kid. Despite him not wanting to see you, he should have been able to suck it up for at least a couple of hours, as opposed to attempting to ban you from the ceremony. But he didn't. What he did was way worse. He dashed her hopes and let her down. Again. That act alone was sufficient enough to rip the blinders right off her. And you went right ahead and compounded the issue. Instead of being the best friend and parent that she says you are, you essentially abandoned her too. That was like a punch to the gut, and she got a hard dose of reality. Like I said before, I am in no way condoning what she did, but what you did could just as easily backfire on you. Not only did her dad ditch her for one of the most important events in her life, but so did her mother, all in an effort to punish her for hurting your feelings. Being a parent means that this happens from time to time. Nobody's perfect, and we all mess up from time to time. If you don't want your feelings hurt, don't have kids, don't get married, etc. If you don't get ahead of this, you will be on a fast track to no contact with your kid. Do you really want that? As soon as she's able, she'll try to get away and stay away from you as fast as she can. You need to apologize and make it right. But seeing as she still lives with you, you also need to make this a teachable moment. Acknowledge that you acted out of hurt and anger. Let her know while you could have handled it better, your feelings were no less valid. Remind her of the fact that you were there for her this whole time when her father would make only cameo appearances. And for her to deny you the chance to share in this achievement with her was really painful and unfair to you. Help her to understand that her father has shown a consistent pattern of behavior where she is concerned and is very unlikely to change it. He has shown her over and over again who he is. It's time for her to believe him. Do this without bad-mouthing him. I cannot stress enough how important this is. She needs to draw her own conclusions from this. And last but not least, both of you need to go back to therapy. This is a big hurdle to overcome, but with time and patience and a helpful outside perspective, you too can see yourself through to the other side of this. Hoping the best for you both. Final judgment, everyone sucks here. Now for the first update. I don't think I'm a bad mom for this one thing, and I accepted judgment and read everything. To answer your question, Bev does go to therapy. This isn't the first time Bev has ditched me for her dad. She's been doing it for 10 years. This is the first time I have said no to her after her father abandoned her. I've asked her therapist if Bev is being manipulated, and she said no based on Bev and her father's messages, and my daughter is just grasping onto a reality that isn't there. Update. I went to my daughter and apologized for not going to her graduation. I also explained that it is not a nice feeling to be left out and I feel underappreciated. Also, that is fine to want her father there for her, but I should too. Bev told me that she's sorry things ended this way, and that she loves me, hugged me, and wants things to go back to normal, and that she acted like a witch. I told her nevertheless I should have been there, and if I could do this all over again, I would have gone. Honestly, I said this as I thought she now knew her dad can't be trusted, and I felt for her. Then I asked her if she regrets uninviting me in the first place, and unsurprisingly she said no. This hurt me, but I figured it was because I didn't go so it was understandable. But no, she continued saying that it was probably best I didn't go because she would have been more miserable as she would have preferred her dad to be there anyway. Then I got angry, though I didn't show it. I told her my feelings were hurt, especially since I've been there for her. And she said that she's always going to want her dad there for her big moments. I asked, even at the expense of me and knowing he most likely won't show? And she replied, I mean, if I have to make sacrifices, I'm going to have my dad there. I repeated the question as she seemed to be swerving it, but she just shrugged and went on her phone. I told her not to expect everyone to apologize and turn a blind eye when she doesn't value them in the real world. And I also said, knowing how she feels, don't expect another apology from me. And this is the last time I'm doing this. She looked teary-eyed, but I left. I don't know how other parents do this. I know her father is going to keep abandoning her, and honestly, I'm at my limit. And if I didn't know whether I was wrong or not before, I definitely know I was right in not going. I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash saying this, but I'm bitter and angry. I understand wanting her dad there, but I should be on the same level of importance as him. I'm still going to be there for her when he inevitably ditches her again. But if this behavior carries on to her next graduation or wedding day, I can't say I'll be that apologetic to her. I should have just listened to NTA. Potentially consider getting therapy yourself, even temporary. I'd have a hard time getting past this, even for my own daughter. I'm sorry this situation is part of your life right now. I agree that Opie should get some therapy if not already receiving any. Opie can't control her daughter's feelings, but Opie can control her own feelings and reactions when daughter acts/disappoints her with wanting dad to show up. Opie, this is a tough situation and I do hope it works out for you. I would have similar feelings of frustration/resentment/anger. Hopefully, daughter will see that her dad's action speaks louder than words. When someone shows you who they are, pay attention. Gosh, I know it's hard, but if she honestly feels that way, then you're right in how you responded. What happens when she gets married? Probably the same thing. That's what I was thinking. How much you betting that Opie will not be invited to Bev's wedding so that her father can walk her down the aisle? I'm so sorry, Opie. I would have been devastated. I feel hard sorry for you. True. And if that happens, I hope Opie doesn't fund a dime of it or lift a finger to help plan a wedding she's not invited to. If daughter truly prefers dad over Opie to the point of excluding her, I'd take a hard look at if you want to continue to be a doormat, even to your own daughter. If raising her and supporting her all of these years hasn't earned you respect from her, then maybe it's time to let your daughter reap what she sows. This hurts to read. I'm sorry, Opie. I'm not a parent, but I think at this point all you can do is let her walk her own path. I bet eventually she'll come to terms with the fact that her father is not a man of his word and realize how much you've done for her. Now for the second update. I'm going to refer to Bev's father as Fred. For the past few months, I've done a lot of reflection. Although I can't say I regret not going to Bev's graduation ceremony, I do wish I handled the situation more like an adult. Growing up, I was taught to never ask questions I don't want the answer to, and that is exactly what I did with my daughter. I shouldn't have asked if she regretted uninviting me because truthfully I didn't want to hear the answer, and for that, I think I acted childish. To clear up some misconception, I don't speak to Bev's father simply because he refuses to be cooperative. Also, when I said Bev referred to me as her best friend, this doesn't mean I treat her like my equal. I do parent her. She did get grounded and get her phone taken away when she misbehaved at school, etc., which is rarely. I think she calls me that because she feels comfortable talking to me about everything. Now to the update. There was an incident after where Bev wanted her dad's help her move into her college apartment before term started, but he refused because he had work. She begged for weeks. The whole 3-hour ride to her college was her crying hysterically. My sister consoled her, but if I'm being honest, I was angry. Angry at my daughter as she refuses to go to therapy anymore, but seriously angry at my ex. It took me ages after graduation, but I finally got in contact with Fred's aunt. I explained the situation and that I need to get into contact with him, as he's either ignoring or not getting my messages. He ended up sending me a very long letter. In a small nutshell, it said that my daughter has been stalking and threatening him and his family, and he has been trying to have a healthy relationship with her, but she keeps being aggressive, so he had to distance himself. He acknowledges he hasn't been the best father, but he tried for the past few years, and Bev is too aggressive, so he had to put the safety of his family first. As for the graduation, he wrote that he definitely refused to go. It only said it was probably for the best, as I probably wouldn't feel too comfortable with him there. He said not to contact him again, and that we've done enough damage. He even added photos of messages between him and Bev where she says deeply troubling things, like physical threats. Personally, I thought everything he said was BS and misconstrued. I spoke to Bev and told her of her father's accusations. She broke down in tears hysterically and admitted that she hasn't been the nicest to Fred's wife and child, understandably, but she never threatened and stalked them. I was trying to calm her down. I told her I believe her and suggested therapy. Then she turned on me, blaming me for the breakdown between her and her father's relationship. She swore at me and broke stuff. She told me to stop trying to villainize her father when I'm the problem. She called me a burden and a cancer and said I should have stayed out of her business. I was called a bad mother and told I should burn in hell. To be clear, she was never violent towards me. She packed her stuff and left, presumably back to college. Me or my family haven't heard from her since. I called and called but only got one message from a random number telling me to leave her alone. I told her I'm always here when she's ready to talk. It's been 2+ months since I spoke to her. I'll never admit this to anyone, but honestly, I feel relieved. My self-esteem plummeted and I felt dead for the longest time because of this situation. I'm going to therapy and feel the tiniest bit better. I finally went on a date yesterday for the first time in a decade without getting guilted. In hindsight, mine and Bev's relationship were nowhere near perfect. I don't know what more I could have done, but I wished I did more. She's my child and she was a victim of an overall crappy situation. Now for the closing comments. I fear there will be another update and it will not end well. It never is. One of my former co-workers told me he had to stop contact and visits with his son. The whole time I knew co-worker's son was the apple of his dad's eye, even after he got married and had a baby. Sometime during the pandemic when his son approached 13, something in him snapped. Co-worker said he had primary custody and things had been going well in therapy, but son still had visits with his mom. When he returned, he was vile towards his baby sister and looked at her with nothing but hate. Son started destroying things and threatened to off her and a new wife. The therapist told co-worker that his mom had been feeding him horrible things and to not doubt his threats because son admitted he really did want to off her in sessions. One day he destroyed half her room and tried to take the baby by force. Co-worker was forced to send his son back to his mom. He tried to maintain phone contact and FaceTime, but his mom stopped taking him to therapy or giving his meds, ADHD and anxiety, and he got so much worse. He had to go no contact completely. It won't end well. That kid will do something awful at college. 1. Stalk a popular guy. 2. Sleep with an older or married professor. 3. Do something severely messed up to another girl there. 4. She enters an abusive relationship with an older man that preys on her insecurity. 5. She turns to alcohol/drugs to numb the pain. 6. She has an oops baby with the first genuinely nice young man that she meets and becomes a controlling and hysterical young parent who expects her mother to financially support her whilst manipulating and controlling the access of her mother and the father of her child to seeing the baby. 6b. Father abandons the baby to get away from Bev's manipulative grasp, and the cycle begins again. Jesus, the daughter is messed up. It needs help like yesterday. However, I can't blame the OP. You can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. Would have been really helpful if her father had actually alerted the mother, so something could have been done in her teens straight away. Yeah, his refusal to communicate with her or tell her about these issues is so stupid and immature. I do wonder if there's something missing there in terms of the reason though, considering OP thoroughly dismisses the seriousness of what her daughter had been doing. I don't know how I feel about a deadbeat accusing the kid who walked out on of stalking. It feels like he was almost mad he couldn't disappear. Like underage kids still knew his phone number and all that. I don't doubt kiddo was nice to new wife and kid, but it's probably more about them than to how much can a kid be mean to people she never sees. It feels like dad is using scary sounding words to get a particular reaction. It feels like kiddo keeps constructing an alternate narrative for each event, where her deadbeat dad promises to be there and then breaks down when reality hits and he doesn't. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that she should leave her pet rat at her mother's home now my girlfriend has moved in? Original post. My male 45 girlfriend, female 45 of 2 years, and I have moved in together. Everything is great, and she gets along very well with my children, at least with my son. I share custody of my 2 children, male 16 and female 15, with my ex-wife, female 40. There is one problem. My girlfriend has phobia for mice, rats, squirrels. In other words, rodents. This is something we all know, and people laugh about it. But it is a serious issue for my girlfriend, who can't even see a picture without starting hyperventilating. My daughter got a rat as a present when she turned 15. She brought it home, and my girlfriend freaked out, and she apparently left the apartment without even noticing that she didn't have her shoes or coat on. I got upset with my daughter, because she knows my girlfriend's fear. I told her that she should leave her pet at her mother's house from now on when she comes here. My daughter got upset and started yelling that my girlfriend is being ridiculous, and me too. Her rat wasn't a problem, so it shouldn't have to be kept at her mom's, and that my girlfriend should move out since she's the one who has the problem with the rat, not the rat with her. I told her that we are family, and family makes compromises. Now she is saying if her rat isn't welcome, then neither is she, and she is planning to stay with her mom until her rat is allowed or my girlfriend moved out. My ex-wife called me to tell me that I'm an a-hole for choosing my girlfriend. I told her she was the a-hole for getting my daughter this present. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Info. Was the gift giver aware of the phobia? Yes, my ex-wife knows that, of course. And I even said that it couldn't come to my place. That was at a birthday party. She knew this before the purchase? It sounds like you told X at a party about the phobia. X knowing beforehand and telling X after purchases are 2 different things. They knew before, way before. Not the a-hole, but in the eyes of your daughter, logical or not, you've chosen your girlfriend over her, not a rat. If I were in your shoes, I would suggest that your girlfriend seek therapy for her phobia and present this to your daughter. She can't bring the rat, but you and your girlfriend understand how important the animal is to her and are taking steps that foster a comfortable space for everyone. Doesn't matter if she ever gets over her fear enough to let a rat in her house. I think just knowing that you take your daughter's feelings seriously and there is effort being put in will go a long way. I think a great compromise would be to offer to buy her another rat to keep at X's house with her first. OP's daughter is only 15, so obviously this won't always come from a place of logic for her. That's our job as the adults. Rats are social animals and should be kept in pairs or groups regardless, and this could help OP's daughter accept that her rat still has a friend, still has interaction and care, even if she's not that friend in a moment, because she's with OP. Do right by the rat and get it a buddy, because they are extremely social animals and will get really depressed and sad if they are alone. I have 2 pet rats that spent all their time together, and they were so cute and lovable. If they have a companion, then they can be left alone without human interaction and be just fine. Social animals when isolated in captivity can start to self-mutilate and even go so far as to die of depression by hurting themselves/not eating. Get him a buddy, and he should be fine left with his buddy for a few days at a time. And of course, as others have said, to really drive home, hey, this is purely about the rat and not you. I love you to your daughter, and see about talking the girlfriend into therapy for her phobia. I'm afraid of birds, and I've been working on it. Slowly. Now for the edit/update. Yeah, well, like many here anticipated, this whole rat thing was planned on purpose. And I have to say it makes sense, since I never once had the impression that my daughter even liked rats. I was surprised at a birthday party. My girlfriend and I moved in together about 3 weeks ago, and the rat showed up about 10 days ago. I know this now, because I've tried to text my daughter about other suggestions like a second rat, a dog, etc. She has made up her mind. It is her or my girlfriend in the apartment. My son told me all of this. He said that my ex-wife and my daughter have been bashing my girlfriend and calling her a home wrecker. Anyway, my daughter can live with her mother for the time being because, legally speaking, children here can decide which parent they want to live with at her age. The plot twist is that my son expressed desire to move in permanently with me instead, and I guess that it is because of all the drama. My son hates conflicts and confrontations. Of course, ex-wife is now bombarding my phone because she believes that I have put my son up to this because my son said that he will start packing a bigger bag today if I agreed to him moving in permanently. I talked about visiting her instead of living there, and I agreed. This is escalating very fast, and I don't seem to have found the brakes to stop the madness. My suggestions made things worse. Thank you for listening. If any 40-plus divorced parents have any advice on how to resolve this issue, I'm all ears. If it is relevant in any way, I didn't leave my ex. She did. One day, she sat me down without forewarning and told me she wasn't happy anymore and wanted a divorce. Everything went fast afterwards, and we were divorced 6 months later. It was never an affair or anything, but I think she liked someone, but it didn't work. After a few months, she said she regretted it and wanted to reconcile, but I didn't feel right about it. One thing was her finality in her decision, but most importantly, I wasn't in love with her anymore. She suggested us dating again. We were supposed to keep that a secret in case the spark didn't reignite, and we would have built up hope in our kids for nothing, but she probably told them anyway. I started dating my now girlfriend around the same time, and I fell in love with her and ended things with my ex. The odd thing is that she cordially accepted my decision, but apparently she hasn't, and I'm reaping what we sowed now. God, it felt good to vent out here. Thanks again, and again, any 40-plus divorced parents who would want to talk, hit me up. Absolutely not interested in input from 20-year-olds with no experience of parenting. Last story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up my engagement with my fiancé because of her mind games? A bit of backstory. I, 25 male, have been in a relationship with my now fiancé Sarah, 22 female, for 3 years. I work in the sales department and make good money. I support both of us and also pay for her education, but my job is very stressful. She is the daughter of my mother's childhood friend. They always wanted their kids to get married but never pushed us or said anything. But somehow we liked each other and fell in love. After dating for 2 years, I proposed her 1 year ago. We agreed to get married after her graduation. However, Sarah has a bad habit. She likes to play mind games with me and see my reaction. If she doesn't like the reaction, she gets angry or sad. She asks questions like, hey, what if I'm unable to have intimacy for the rest of my life and unable to have children? Will you still marry me? I try to answer emotionally or make her happy, but she always forces me to answer rationally and expects me to be honest. But if I give her a rational answer, she gets mad or sad, saying I only love her because of her body and I only want her for sex. I understand that marriage is not about sex only. Love, trust, patience, intimacy, everything is needed to make a marriage work. Otherwise, it can't last. She makes these fake scenarios, wants me to answer rationally, but gets angry when I do so. She does this once or twice a week. I try to talk to her saying, babe, please. I hate these questions. I can understand stupid ones like, would you love me if I was a worm? But these questions are serious, and I can't handle these extra dramas. I really love you, but I just want to relax and spend some quality time with you after work. Recently, she crossed the line. One of my coworkers was badly violated by some drug addicts, and she was in the hospital for a week. The boss gave her PTO for 2 months. She and her husband both broke down emotionally. She's scared to even see a man, and her husband can't tolerate the pain she is in. I took him to a bar a few times, every time he cried because of what happened to her and how he failed to protect her. Their marriage is falling apart. Sarah knew everything about these events. So a few days ago, after I came back from work and was relaxing on a sofa, she came to me, and out of nowhere brought up my coworker's story and asked me, babe, will you still love me if I get violated and unable to come close to you for years? Will you still love me? My answer was yes, I will be there for you. But she kept pushing. Like, what if they made me pregnant? What if they injured my private parts? I was getting more and more annoyed and angry, because that crime is one of the biggest tragedies that can happen to a woman. The horror and terror of it are impossible for a person to imagine. For a partner, it is also horrifying and extremely depressing to see her in such a vulnerable state. But she somehow created this scenario and wants me to give her a rational answer. But I can't, because I never experienced such horror, and I never want to be in that position, and I honestly don't know how I would handle the situation. But she kept testing my patience. After that, I said I was done. I took off my engagement ring and I said I'm done with you. I work 12 hours a day, but I still try to find time to do something for you. I try to buy you flowers, take you out on dates, try to buy everything you ask, cook for you often, and do everything I can to make you happy. All I ask for in return is peace and positive energy. I can't take these games anymore, and I can't apologize every time for some fake scenario you created in your head. I can't handle that extra stress. I walked out of my house. She kept screaming at me and crying loudly. I'm currently staying at my mom's home. She kept calling me and texting me, but I didn't answer. I honestly can't handle her right now. I am tired, stressed, angry, and depressed all at once. Am I the a-hole for breaking up the engagement for this reason? Edit. Thank you guys for all of your kind words. I will keep it in mind moving forward. There will be a family meeting with her family tomorrow. She won't be there, but I want to talk to her family. Her mom and her father already talked to me and apologized, and reassured me they will support my decision if I decided to break up. Both our family have almost 30 years of friendship, and our moms are friends since their teenage years, and they won't let that break because of her. I will update you guys about the meeting. Edit 2. Sorry, I should have added more context and backstory. I wrote this while I was sad and depressed, so I missed a few things. We started our relationship when she was 18 and I was 21, but we knew each other since birth. We were good friends. We played together. I had a crush on her when she was 16, but since she was 3 years younger than me at that time, I didn't tell her. But at her 18th birthday, I confessed, and she said yes. We moved in together after her 20th birthday, and this drama started after that. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Getting blasted with endless what-if questions and scenarios is beyond exhausting. It creates an erosion of the trust that was, past tense, in a relationship. This is neurotic behavior on her part. You're not the a-hole for letting her know she's violated a boundary. It's up to you if you want to give her the opportunity to get into therapy and rebuild your relationship. If not, I don't blame you. I already suggested therapy, even couples therapy, but she rejected both. But I knew her since we were kids. As far as I know, she doesn't have any traumatic past either. Please, do not go looking for an excuse for her behavior. She doesn't need one. She has been this way for a long time, but nobody has called her out for it until now. In her mind, this is a normal behavior, and she doesn't need counseling. She's in shock that you reacted as you did. In your defense, these hypothetical what-if questions are impossible to answer as you truly don't know what you do or how you'd respond, unless the situation was actually happening to you. Wishing you all the best. Yes, you are right about that. But I should have added that I asked her mom about this too. She said they never saw Sarah asking these types of questions to anyone at home. My sister said she never does this to any one of her friends. Seems like I'm her only victim. And thank you for your well wishes. Sounds like she's on some TikTok BS. She doesn't have TikTok. Never seen her use it. She still uses an iPhone 6. She passes her time watching movies or series or playing Stardew Valley on her Switch. Not the a-hole. She was fishing for arguments and fights constantly just to get some sort of thrill. And to put you down and punish you for something super hypothetical. Sometimes asking such questions is fine if it's a valid concern. But it seems your fiancé took genuine pleasure out of using your coworker's misery to come up with a messed up what-if scenario to get a rise out of you for her own entertainment. She behaves like a high school teenager that lives off drama and stuff. You clearly told her to stop this nonsense. But she walks all over you, and she has no respect for others than herself. She thinks a tragedy this bad is something to make a game out of. Please run, as far as you can. I tried as much as possible. But these mind games are making me crazy every day. I'm totally done with her BS. You tried to accommodate her by giving her the answer she wanted. Not good enough. You have her the answer she wanted to hear. Not good enough. You ask her to stop. She won't respect that. Please give me an honest answer. Do you think you can take this for 10 years? Can you accept that she will probably do this with any future kids too? She won't stop with her awful behavior towards you. When will she also do it with your family, your kids? Yeah, these things are running on my mind right now. Now for the update. First of all, I want to thank everyone for your amazing love and support. I didn't expect this to get this many responses and attention. I was in a bad situation and wanted some support, but I got more than I could ever expect. So, we finally had that family meeting. Sarah's mom, dad, her aunt, uncles, and grandma all came to my house. Sarah came too, but they told her to stay in the car. We had a long discussion. I explained everything that's been happening about the what-if questions and how she got upset with my answers. They were very supportive. They always treated me like their own son, and today was no different. After I expressed my anger and depression, they said if Sarah could come in because she wanted to say something. They said she was completely broken down and never expected I would actually walk out like this. She didn't eat, showered, or did anything in the last 48 hours. She came in, and it was true. Her eyes were bright red, messy hair, and she was in the same dress I left her in. She cried and wanted to come towards me, but her mom stopped her, and she made her explain why she would do such things and never gone to any therapy or even considered that. I won't bore you with every detail because she was crying and sobbing while speaking. But to summarize, a lot of you were right. She was way too young to get married, and she never really grew out of her childhood friendship. She used to do pranks, throw cold water at me, or say stupid things to embarrass me when we were kids. The reason for those what-if questions was to irritate me, but she never realized her questions turned from stupid stuff to horrifying questions. She never expected me to be this much traumatized by it, because to me, this was a real relationship turning into marriage. But in her mind, she was dating her childhood friend and started to live with him. Both of our parents apologized to me because they were so happy about our relationship that they forgot she might not be ready to be married at all. She is young, and this is her first relationship as well, just like me. After hearing all of this, my anger calmed down a bit, but the damage was already done. And by looking at Sarah, I can say she realized it too. I've never seen her this much broken down ever in my life, but I wasn't ready to go back, and her parents didn't beg or force me either. But she said she was ready to do anything I ask. She will do anything to get me back. This was a wake-up call for her, and she realized what she had done. So I said the marriage is off the table now. First, she needs to go to therapy, and after she's done, we will see if we can give this relationship another chance. She agreed to everything and said she will work hard to make this relationship work because she does not want to lose me. Now, a lot of you may get angry at this decision of mine, but I've given this a deep thought. Because she was always loyal to me. She loved me, cared for me, and did everything a wife does. But the problem was her mind games. But if what she says is true, and I believed it was true since the explanation makes sense, then I want to give this relation another chance too. I want this to work, but this time I will take it very slow. Both of us need to improve. We were going at 100 miles per hour. Now I will just take one step at a time and see if I can make this work. If not, I can always back out. Wish me luck, everyone, and thank you again for your support and love.